a bear, an alligator, and what's another good? A squirrel, okay? Which is the squirrel?
President Donald Trump once again finds himself at the center of attention, this time over a squirrel. Speaking at the White House Small Business Summit on Monday, the president defended his cognitive health, insisting he has taken the Montreal Cognitive Assessment not once, not twice, but 3 times and, quote, aced each one. But it was one example from that test that quickly caught everyone's attention. Trump began describing one of the questions, talking about identifying animals, listing a lion, a bear, an alligator, and then almost casually a squirrel.
You know, one of the things I said is that we should have, in my opinion, anybody running for president or vice president should take a cognitive test. And no president has ever taken one except me. I've taken 3 of them, and I've aced each one. 1 in the first administration, 2 over here. And whenever they get a little sassy, like, does he still have it? Does he still have what it takes? I say, all right, I'll take another one. And they are hard. There are many people in this room I know that are smart. They're not going to ace them. There are many people standing back there, the fake news media, that I'd like to have them. You know, the first question is very easy, and they always show the first question is, you have a lion, a bear, an alligator, and what's another good? A squirrel, okay? Which is the squirrel? So they show that question, and then the first 4 or 5 questions they get a little more difficult. By the time you get to the middle, they're tough. By the time you get to the end, I don't want to be insulting, but there won't be, I'm not going to do what Gavin Newsom said. You saw him? He said, everybody in here is stupid, and he's stupid. I think it was the worst political interview I've ever seen. He said, he's stupid, he's dumb, he gets bad marks on everything, he can't read his speech, and nobody wants to report that. It was the worst, but I won't say that because I think everyone in this room is brilliant, but nobody's going to get all 30 questions correct. Nobody. Because when you get to those last questions, they're pretty hard. You got to be pretty sharp. But every time, so I've taken 3. No president, think of this, has ever taken 1. How do you think Biden would have done? I don't think, he might not have gotten that first question right. Anyway, and Obama would have done poorly. They would have done very poorly, but I think you should have it. As soon as they said that, they say, it's unconstitutional. And I said, why? They say it's unconstitutional to give a cognitive test like that. But Rick, I do it anytime they start getting a little sassy. And you know, it quiets them down for almost a year when they hear the result. One doctor said, it's the first time I've ever seen anyone get all questions right. That's a doctor who does this stuff for a living. And I did it 3 times. So I don't know. I think I'm done with those days. I'm tired of taking that test.
Now, for context, the Montreal Cognitive Assessment isn't designed to measure intelligence. It's a screening tool used in nearly 100 countries to detect signs of cognitive decline, including dementia and Alzheimer's. Tasks include basic memory recall, identifying dates, drawing shapes, things meant to assess normal cognitive function, not brilliance. Speaking to 9.com.au, the test's creator, Canadian neurologist Ziad Nasruddin, said, quote, I think he's proud that he is able to demonstrate that his cognition is fine. The average score sits at 26 out of 30, and according to the test's creator, Nasruddin, about 10% of people in Trump's age group can achieve a perfect score. In other words, it's not unheard of. Because almost instantly, that squirrel moment took on a life of its own. Social media lit up with users dissecting not just the test, but Trump's repeated emphasis on it. One user wrote, quote, bragging about being the only president that is showing clear signs of dementia is not the flex Trump thinks it is. Another, however, pushed back, defending him, saying critics were still upset even after he aced it thrice. Others fixated on the randomness of the example itself, questioning why a squirrel and an alligator would even appear in a memory test. And then came the sharper jabs, with one comment reading, quote, "3 tests and we're still flexing which one is the squirrel? Truly elite performance." The reactions highlight something deeper. Not just debate over a test score, but growing scrutiny over Trump's public remarks, delivery, and messaging. Because while the president insists his cognition is, in his words, perfect, moments like these continue to fuel questions, spark memes, and keep the conversation very much alive.